We have two very exciting panelists today, Sonal Mansingh ji and Vivek Agnihotri ji. And I would like to begin today by briefly introducing them. Let's see. So Sonal Mansingh ji probably needs no introduction. She's a greatly honored and revered artist. She has won she's a recipient of the Padma Vibhushan award in 2003 and the Padma Bhushan award in 1992. She is also a member of the Rajya Sabha in India. She's an Indian classical dancer in the Bharatanatyam and Odissi styles of dance. And she's had a very illustrious career. She's a founder president of Sri Kamakhya Kalapeeth, Center for Indian Classical Dances, which has played an important role in training and teaching hundreds of talented students who are continuing the traditions of music, art, and dance in the Indian culture broadly, globally. She combines music and yoga and Sanskrit in the cultural traditions of India. Our second panelist is Sri Vivek Ranjan Agnihotri. He's an Indian film director, screenwriter, and author. He's a member of the Board of India's Central Board of Film Certification and a cultural representative of Indian cinema at the Indian Council for Cultural Relations. He won the National Film Award for Best Screenplay for the movie Dialogues for the Tashkent Files. And he's currently working on a movie called the Kashmir Files. He's also made a movie on Buddha in the traffic jam. He has a degree in mass communications from the Indian Institute of Mass Communication. He's also participated in the Harvard Extension School for a certificate of special studies in administration and management. And he's an emerging and important figure in the field of cinema, music, and arts more generally. So with that very brief introduction, I want to talk about the topic for today. We're looking at the post-colonial hangover, the Hindu hangover, if you will, on the realm of arts, culture, music, and generally the aesthetic and artistic traditions of India in their contemporary forms. Okay, and with that very brief introduction, I would like to invite Sonal Mansingh to be the very first panelist speaker. Sonalji, you'll have to unmute yourself, and you have about 20 minutes to present your message. We'll follow that up with Vivek Agnihotri for 20 minutes, and then we'll take questions and answers from our panelists. We'll wrap up in about exactly at the top of the hour. We've got 54 minutes. Over to you, Sonal Mansingh. What happened? We lost.
I think her internet may have just cut out.
That was So while we wait for her, Vivek Agnihotri, do you want to make some opening remarks, maybe? But unmute yourself.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah,
please.
Okay, so thanks a lot, first of all, for inviting me. I have been reading about your university, and I'm very fond of this university without even visiting it. But I am coming to US with my film, The Kashmir Files, in the month of December. Hopefully, I would be able to visit and see this wonderful university. Mm-hmm. And the reason I really like it is because in every speech of mine, I always say that the most unfortunate part of independent India is that we do not teach our children about the great knowledge center which we are. Like the Greek people called us the cradle of civilization, but since I know it, that's why I'm so proud of Indian culture. And in the field of culture, it's very important that we have lots of dedicated universities, because India is infinite knowledge, and it's very sad commentary on our independent India, that we never ever teach our children about this great culture. So I am looking forward to speaking here. I hope Sonal ji must have joined by now.
Yeah, she has.
I have.
Yeah, Sonalji, over to you. Over to you, Sonalji, please.
Thank you, Vivek ji, for filling in for me while something happened here. And as it happens with technology, you know, it's not very reliable. Thank you very much. Namaskar, first of all, to everyone. My respectful namaskars. And I'm delighted to be a panelist in this very meaningful dialogue. I would like to just start with, what do we really understand by the word culture? Because it's like confetti, we keep throwing the word culture here and there. And it's like sericulture. To culture something is to add quality, enhance, polish. When dross falls off, rough edges are rounded up, etc., etc. And cultured person. In India, the thought culture is Sanskriti. Kriti from the verb kri, and karya, karma, kriyapada, krida, so many meaningful words which are often used in philosophy and in our normal parlance. Like Bhagavad Gita is all about karma yoga. And therefore, Samskriti, as I understand, is to do, to perform, to act, to work. And with the addition of the prefix sam, Samskriti, sam, in a balanced way. It's very important that we do not exaggerate all the time, that we do not become hyper, we do not hype up things, but everything in balance. Now that, very simply to me, is culture. Civilization, I've written, or a sabhyata. A civilization is known by its culture. And don't we see it around us? That empires have risen and fallen, and they have gone into dust. Kings and emperors and chakravartis and samrats. What remains? What remains is, if they're left behind, something of value to society, something of value to philosophy, to art, to literature, then their names remain. Otherwise, crores have come and gone. It doesn't matter. Civilizations rise and fall. As I said, Roman Empire fell, Greek civilization fell, everything. Then the manifestations of culture. I'd like to share with you the most often used terminologies: the tangible and the intangible. These two qualities of culture are, not difficult to understand. All we see today is mostly tangible culture, the cultural manifestations as tangible. That is, in your costuming, what you wear, jewelry, clothes, how you behave, what you eat, and of course, the tangibility of monuments. They are the remnants of those cultures, those cultured civilizations. And there are forts and palaces and temples and what we call the Shilalik, those things engraved on stone like Ashoka, Emperor Ashok's Shilaliks are very famous. And cave arts, the Ellora, oh my God, Ajanta. I mean, thousands are strewn around in India. Right from Bhimbetka, which is at least 12,000 years old, which is not much actually in the long history of Earth and civilizations. But 12,000-year-old Bhimbetka in Madhya Pradesh, central India, it has these wonderful paintings, like the paintings in Spain and so many other places. Bhimbetka. And then I've written that, for example, the Rani Gumfa, the cave carvings near Bhubaneswar in Orissa, they are very rarely visited or known. And here you have scenes, the bas reliefs of the Chakravarti, the emperor Kharavela, the Jain emperor, 2nd century BC. I still say BC, before Christ or whatever. And the queen seated in their court, and the court dancers performing, and the court musicians playing on their instruments. There's the entire open air cave is strewn with that. So, as I said, the tangibility, that tangible quality of culture is for everyone to see. But it's the intangible, which I believe is the Atman, is the soul of any culture, any civilization. And this is where I take you back to the two words, Shruti and Smriti. The word that is heard and the word which is contained in the mind, in the memory. And the Shruti and Smriti are the two key words right from the Vedic times of India, where the texts were not written, but they were written here by constant repetition of recitations. And it's amazing that how even I remember the poems and some pieces, dohas and chaupais and bhajans, which I recited and I studied in my Gujarati medium school in the 5th standard. And just 4 days ago in Varanasi, in my new presentation of Natya Katha, Katha Siya Ram Ki, I was reciting those chaupais and dohas, and I had no script in hand for 1.25 hours. It's all here. So Shruti and Smriti are the key words for the intangible manifestation of culture. And then, of course, the arts, the various forms of performing arts, which are at once tangible and intangible. For example, I'm a dancer. You were introduced to me that I'm a dancer. Yes, this is my tangible form. But what I produce on stage is intangible. You cannot touch it, you cannot hold it. It's effervescent, it's like a bubble. Nowadays, of course, you can video it, but it's not the same. A temple wall you can touch. A wall in the palace you can touch. A rock you can touch. You cannot touch the voice. You cannot touch the music made on instruments. You cannot touch my dance. And these are the things that contain age-old wisdom. The arts, performing arts of India, I think, are the supreme example of the intangibility, the absolutely precious, unmistakable intangibility of cultural manifestation, the sampradaya, the paddhatis, the paramparas, the traditions, which are handed down, which come to us generation after generation. So all this, I thought I would begin with that texts like epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata, the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Purans, the Aranyakas, the Brahmanas, Samhitas, all these contain the intangible abstract thoughts, but in tangible form because of Shruti and Smriti. They were written many, many centuries later. Then I have asked myself, the past glory or a continuum of a cultural manifestation, of a cultural tradition, as we are speaking of culture. And to me, culture is supreme. Whenever you want to understand or find the equilibrium, it's to culture that we turn. So is it a past glory in which we live all the time? Like, you know, in Egypt and in Greece was this, and Roman Empire was this, and Mesopotamian and Sumerian. Where are they now? So India It's a cliche, but it has to be repeated again and again to remind ourselves and to remind the world that's the one and only ancient civilization, cultural civilization, which is still vibrant, meaningful, and ever flowing. It's amazing because we live in India, and I think most people, as Vivekji was saying, I heard him, that we do not put a price on it. We do not value it because it's there. It's, yeah, we take it for granted. I don't take it for granted because I know कितने पापड़ बेलने पड़ते हैं और कितने पापड़ बेल के बेलवाने पड़ते हैं when you teach. Now I come to this, that the different religions and cultures, traditions were imposed. Egypt, Middle East, as I named all these, they had their own cultures, Latin America, and the cultures, civilizations underwent in front of our eyes recent history. Recent meaning, within the last 2,000, 1,500 years, that they completely overturned 360 degrees. Now, it didn't happen in India so much, but what happened, I'll come to that. So wherever one sees, one wonders. I know change is only constant. We know that. Change is inevitable. But like pulling out a banyan tree from the roots, this is what has happened in major parts of the world. It is being tried here in India, right at this moment. It is being tried for the past, at least, I would say, 1,200 years. But the banyan tree is still standing and putting down more roots. Banyan is the only tree. The roots, the branches go down as roots, and one banyan tree has at least 100 roots which go down in the earth and they become the support. Indian cultural traditions are like that. Now, we have experienced this in India, that the oldest living civilization which still stands strong and which has become the point of envy, sometimes even ridicule, because people know very well that when you ridicule something or someone, the person begins to feel small, unless the person is so full of confidence. The thing becomes little emaciated, murjha jati hai. So ridicule is one of the best forms to finish something. And I think we have undergone that. We've taken it all in our stride. We're still taking it today. To destroy a civilization, one has to uproot and destroy the culture. For example, traditions, celebrations. If today we are told that for Diwali, nobody may light crackers. It's an age-old tradition. When Sri Ramachandra with Mata Janaki, Lakshman, Hanuman, Vibhishana, Angada came back after the Lanka Vijay to Ayodhya, the Deepavali, rows and rows of lamps lit to honor them. Their hearts were lit up as if the citizens, and they burst crackers. In China today, the Chinese New Year and so many festivities, they burn crackers, they light up crackers. But today, if we are told, you cannot, there's an environmental hazard, but actually, they kill the mosquitoes which emerge at this time in the year. There are certain traditions which are built around scientific observations and changes in the season. Without understanding that, you just put ban, and that is unfortunate anyway. So the traditions, celebrations, philosophical tenets, faith, rituals, values, education systems, and so much more, which form culture, are sought to be destroyed like uprooting a tree, like sucking out marrow from bones. Now, Why? The beliefs of these people, the Atanks, the people who invaded India for centuries, beginning from the soft Christianity and beginning from Mir Qasim in early 7th century, Islam invaded. And what they did was, of course, well known. History has recorded it even half-heartedly in India. Plunder, loot, rape, enslavement, setting to fire everything that came their way, beheading. It's my way or highway. You convert or you die. Or you are enslaved and you live like a third, fourth class citizen in your own country. And you have no right to observe any cultural manifestation, any ritual, any celebration. We have gone through this century after century after century. Now, I was just writing that the one God, one book, one messenger of God or prophet. Now, these things which came from the desert land, which are not born of this soil, this land, whether it's Jainism, whether it's Buddhism, or whether it is Sikhism. These are children born out of Bharat, this mitti. And therefore, it's not about one book and one prophet and one God. No. I accept 24 Tirthankaras of Jainism. I accept the 10 gurus and the Granth Sahib of Sikhism. I accept Bhagwan Buddha and then so many of his manifestations, the Maitreya Buddha, the Amitabha Buddha, the Avalokiteshvara, and so on. I have no problem. And they also have Tara and our Dashamahavidyas. But those that came from outside had big problems. And this is how it has happened over the centuries, that we are failing to understand that all this kind of brotherhood talk doesn't melt butter in the mouth. And I'm talking about the fanaticism that comes with it. If we have to accommodate, yes, why not? We accommodate so many opposites in our lives, daily life. We accommodate so many contraries in our life. We accommodate so many different thoughts, different attitudes, different actions, reactions. But when I say no, you will only do what I tell you. You will not do this, you will not do that. And then that starts the beginning of violence, physical, emotional, religious, in every form, intellectual violence. Then there is no tolerance, then there is no accommodation, there is no space left for any argument, disagreement, a different point of view. And Sanatana Dharma that we profess in India, Sanatana Shashvat, perennial, eternal way of living, of thinking, of forming attitudes, forming ideas, value and education systems. And there is infinity there. And in that infinity, in that ocean, all the rivers can come and join, no problem. Neither does the ocean reject, neither does the ocean rise. Ocean remains deep and calm, inviting, accommodating. So that is the Sanatana Dharma. And I would like you to understand that, we call it moksha, nirvana, kaivalya, enlightenment, liberation, etc. And we believe that here itself is our svarga and narak. Here itself is our heaven. Rather than believe that heaven is somewhere, 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 and if we do this and that, we go to heaven. Anyway, that's another. Now, I'll quickly go through a few, 2 or 3 tenets that Atman and Brahman. The relationship between mini and mega, between individual and the cosmic being, genderless, nameless, formless, Very difficult to understand that abstraction. So our rishis, our wonderful ancestors who had creative artistic imagination, but it was not just imagination. It was in the deep meditation, the images that manifested themselves, the elements that manifested themselves. And these are our divinities. Sometimes they're many-armed, many-faced. They have different names in different manifestations. Simple to understand. I'm a daughter, I'm at the same time a sister, I'm a wife, I'm a beloved, I'm a friend, I'm a mother, I'm a guru. But I am I, that nameless being, but I'm called Guruji, I'm called sister, I'm called Sonal, I'm called beloved, what? Simply put, very simply put, because I think simplification is today the mantra, rather than make it complicated. I would only invite everyone to just give themselves a minute or 5 minutes a day to experience the mystery, the majesty, the magnificence of the idea of Atman and Brahman, and how in dance we show that, how in music we sing to that, how in painting and Indian sculpture we show it, how in philosophy we bring it out. But I say dance because dance becomes four-dimensional, not just three. I can show you this eternal Satya. I can show you the lotus and the Brahmara, like my manas, my chitta vrittis, like the Brahmara, and drinking nectar from the lotus of knowledge. I can tell you about the river pollution when Krishna told Kaliya, stop spewing poison, go away far. I can tell you so many things that bring to life these beautiful ideas, philosophical thoughts, and value systems. Now, these, when due to Angrez, the Raj, were taken away because they knew very well, they were very clever, otherwise they couldn't have built empire half around the world. That you destroy culture, destroy their knowledge systems, you destroy their gurukuls, you destroy their ideals, and you have destroyed them. Then they are putty in your hand. You can mold them. And that's what they did. So that even today, like I'm speaking English because you are all in USA, and I'm sure that a lot of people do not understand Hindi. But even in India, in the homes of Hindus, they speak in English. They tell children, ah, karyade, don't, na, pyaj mat bolo, onions bolo, nritya mat bolo, dance bolo. So then I say, okay, monkeys also dance. The bears, the dancing bears also dance. The item girls in our Bollywood films also dance. What's the difference? The difference is that in the times of the invaders and then the Mughal, the content was removed, the Hindu content was removed. Salami came, Tarana came, Ahmad Tukda, Tatkar came, where you don't need to show anything, you just the rhythm and chakas, pirouettes, and you are just entertaining. Mujra, Mehfil, Baithak, and prostitution, of course, temples, no dancing, Nehle pe dehla, adding fuel to fire, the British, the Angrez Raj, the Raj, they brought out the Devadasi Act just before leaving, no dancing in temples as if there was any, and nautch girls, N-A-U-T-H, nautch girls, N-A-U-T-C-H, sorry. These are the easily available entertaining girls, women, young women. They dance with the ghagras and all. They prostitute, they are easily available. Angrez Raj, English medium, spoken English, and salute, and no content of our Sanatana Dharma will be tolerated. And this is, in short, I had so much more to say. I would just want to, at the end, like to tell you a couple of quick things. I think gone through all this conversion and all that. That another thing which is not understood is that most of the world has linear time, the linearity. It's one line. We have circular time. The seasons come and go, the blood flows, the inhalation, elation, exhalation is a circle. The Rasa Mandala, therefore, is a symbol. So the beautiful thing about Indian culture is to understand symbolism. We do not call spade a spade all the time. We work through symbols. It's poetic. Also, it ignites your imagination, gives you space to put your own ideas and meaning to it. And the other thing is very important, that this is the last civilization, the last culture, which has tradition of worshipping Mother Goddess, the divine female, the last and the only one. So the multi-armed gods, the divinities, worshipping the female as the creatrix, as the great mother of all. We have this Navaratra, which is just gone, 9 days of worshipping the great Devi, in front of whom even the gods stand with folded hands, and she is the one who destroys, annihilates asuras, the dark, ignorant, imbalanced elements of the universe, of the cosmos. The cosmic order is just, imbalanced. Then she comes. Now, it's very difficult for those not of this soil to even understand where, if they are told that you can have 4 wives, you can do this, you can do that, whatever is your booty, you can do what you like. And here it is the Mother Goddess, the great feminine. She creates all, and she again, everything, including time, goes back into her. Laya, pralaya, vilaya, all happens through her. How can anyone who is not from here understand? How can anyone see? When I danced in Sudan, Algeria, I had to ask the ambassadors, listen, I'm not going to wear hijab, okay? My stomach will be seen. My feet and everything will be seen. Is it okay? Otherwise, I'm not coming. How difficult it is. I now realize for people not from here, not born from this soil, or not in tune with this great Sanatana Dharma and its beautiful Ananda manifestations. How can this be? Now we see how things are. I don't want to elaborate. So I will hand over. If I have to say something later, I will. But this is my take on that. We have still hung on to British ways, British thinking, British Raj, and their education systems. And after, in the 75th year of India's political independence, now at last we are trying to put into place new education system, which will give prominence to Indian thought, Indian values, Indian educational values. The facts, the historic facts are being. So I think never too late, but let's hurry up.
Yeah.
I cannot stand this kind of a convent educated girls and boys and the leftist and the intellectual and the liberals and the seculars saying this, that, another. Kya liberal, kya secular, what? There is no other country like India, so liberated, so liberating, and so liberal. Do not teach us. There are no other people in the world as inviting, accommodating, as tolerant, as kind, as gracious as us. I'm very proud to be an Indian. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Sonalji. Thank you so much. Without much ado, let's go to Vivek Agnihotri. Different generation, different experience, but in the thick of things. Vivek, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm really delighted to be here amongst all you great people doing great work. And I want to congratulate you, Kalyanji, for doing amazing work, a great service to our culture and nation. My father used to say, when you are sitting under a banyan tree, shut your mind and mouth, because you have to do nothing. And I don't know why I'm always invited after Sonal ji has spoken, because she leaves no room for anybody to say anything about the culture, because she's so amazing. And one of the reasons that I'm sticking uh, to promoting Indian culture is because of great inspiring people like Sonal ji. When I see their consistency, it makes me believe more in the work which I'm doing. Just taking our thought little forward with my limited knowledge. First, I would like to quickly speak. I know time is limited. I would like to quickly speak. Number one, I would like to say my understanding of Hindu culture and Hindu sabhyata. Second thing is, what is the problem today and who's causing this problem? And I would like to end with a certain solution, a practical solution, how we can fight this war of cultural war. First of all, why do we need culture? You know, animals, it is seen, the science has observed, anthropologists, that in animals, not more than 50 numbers of animal can work together. So maximum 50 monkeys or 50 tigers or 50 elephants can work together. After that, they start becoming enemies of each other. That's why we need culture. Culture to unite people, bring them on the same understanding. Culture to help you move from ignorance, which is the animal existence, to knowledge, which is enlightenment. Enlightenment not in terms of Buddha, but enlightenment means basic required knowledge, which makes you a good human being who adds value to human life for how many number of years we live in this world. And like Sonal ji said, that's why the great Hindu philosophers or rishis or munis saw time as cyclical. And that's why Vedanta understood the power of human beings. And it said that with the help of collective understanding, a cultural understanding, you can achieve Tattvam Asi. People misuse this term, Aham Brahmasmi. People write on social media just to show off, but the Tattvam Asi, the real meaning is that you have the same power as the cosmic energy, what quantum physics is revealing to us today, to the modern world, and the West is going, or we didn't know. We knew it 5, 7, 8, 10,000 years ago. I don't know. I don't fight on number of years. But before anybody even started talking or looking at the sun and said, okay, this gives us energy. When people were thinking Earth was flat, we called it Bhugol, which means Bhu is Earth, Earth is round. We understand these things. So that is culture. Culture is also science. I don't know why the modern India is fighting with science. Our entire Vedanta is based on hardcore science, scientific knowledge about the cosmos, its energy, its power, and how human beings can become one with that energy, what the world is trying to understand. We were the only civilization or cultural roots or cultural base in the world which said even the matter has energy. Science never understood it. It's only recently we have started understanding that in the jad, a glass or a piece of wood, the particle, the atom also has energy inside it. Science is understanding it now. We understood long time. And that's why this whole concept of oneness started. But the beauty is that we promoted this concept of oneness, and it happens through various things. And that's why we had classical dancing, which Sonal ji has promoted in this country consistently and qualitatively. We sculpting, you go and see, I was in Khajuraho, I was mesmerized when I was told that all these sculptors would come and they won't take a rock and create a statue. They would just take the statue out of the rocks. And they did by just sitting there in the morning for a few hours, meditated, and when they themselves become that statue or that piece of art, they just got up, took their tools, and just finished their work before the sunset and left. And which is why I have traveled all over the world. I have never seen any great thing like a woman standing in a statue and she has just taken bath and even the drops are falling on her very sheen fabric she's wearing, totally naked, which I think we understood the beauty of a human body, which today, if you speak in modern India, people will come to kill you. They'll say, hey, you are. But that was the beauty of Hindu culture, that we work with motives. When we look at our gods, you see Shiv, Parvati, you see there are so many motives around. There is Damru, there is Trishul, there is Trineth, there is a snake, there is Nandi. So many motives, which means we have always been an extremely creative society. When people, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah, very much.
No.
Yeah. So when people say that Shakespeare, when people say Bible is the most translated book in the world, it's wrong information, it's fake news. Panchtantra is the most translated piece of art in the world. This Netflix, which we see today, this entire science of drama, the conflict, the drama, the makeup science, lighting on stage, how you should speak, this all was created in India in Natya Shastra, which is also known as the fifth Veda. Similarly, you have to understand, let's talk science now. Everybody is the West and the modern convent education is teaching my children. I'm sure Sonalji would love to hear this from me. My children are taught that India is, when it comes to science, India lags behind the world. They say science is the gift of the West. Now, let me just tell you, all great people, esteemed people have joined. I'm sure most of them are from technology and science. Modern medical science has evolved by cutting dead bodies. By cutting dead bodies. When people die, they take that body, cut it, and they understood human body. The entire science of Ayurveda and yoga and the mind, which neuroscience is still struggling to understand, was evolved by observing living bodies. Our science is a living science. Their science is a dead science. One has to understand that. One has to understand it. What is human beings are struggling with today? Human beings are struggling with mind and understanding what is mind, because they cannot control it. Their mind took them all over the world and killed people. In their quest to discover new geographical continents, they have destroyed cultures, civilizations, people, and cultures. And look at this. And I'm telling you something which is phenomenally wonderful, and you have to understand, then only you will understand what Hindu culture is all about and what is the greatest strength of Hindu culture. Number one, wherever Islamic invaders went, wherever, all those entire countries, they destroyed their local culture and those countries turned Islamic. Wherever Christian colonizers or invaders went, all those countries became Christian. 100 out of 100. In fact, there is a country, I'm forgetting the name, in Africa, when these colonizers landed there, within 2 hours, the country turned Christian. Be it Australia, no local culture. New Zealand, no local culture. America, no local culture. No local belief system, faith system, no ritual. India was ruled for 1,000 years by Christian and Muslim invaders. Yet, our civilization survived, whereas all other civilizations perished. Or they turned Islamic or Christian. We are still a Hindu society. We never invaded any. Second greatest thing, why I say our culture is so creative, and why we are definitely, we have the strength to unite the world. We are the only culture in the history of humanity, or society in the history of humanity, which has given birth to 4 most peaceful religions. All Buddhism, Sikhism, Jainism. Then, now let's come to the concept of this world today, especially in America. They are struggling with the concept of inclusiveness, liberalism, all these kind of things. All I want to throw light on is that we Our culture is based, our DNA is Anekantwad, which Jainism adopted later on, which means there are million roots to truth. So you have Vedanta, it's Shruti. Why it is Shruti? Because it's open, it's left to interpretation. It was believed as the society evolves, situations change, and there should always be scope to add on more stories to it. Therefore, you'll find Mahabharata has so many stories kept adding on. Similarly, Upanishads, we kept adding on new stories as the society kept changing. But then Adi Shankara comes, gives it one interpretation. We say, okay, you are fine. This is wonderful. Ramanujam comes, he gives another interpretation. We say, wonderful, fine. Ramakrishna comes, give another interpretation. We say, fine, this is also true. So whatever comes, we say it's equally true and equally false, as long as all these things lead us to adding value. When we talk about the divine, what is divine? Divine is not a place where you go. Divine is here, right now, which is adding value and quality to your life. So therefore, I think the answer lies in Shiva's Trinetra. And this is my favorite concept of Hindu culture, which is we are fighting left and right. We are fighting feminine and masculine. We are fighting east and west. But only when you have the correct balance between left and right, that's when you find your Trinetra. But the problem is that all this greatness has been systematically destroyed. How it is being done? I have written a book called Urban Naxals, which is a bestseller. All of you who have not read, you can read. In detail, I have described how the strategy, the systematic strategy of these urban Naxals, actually this whole thing started when Indira Gandhi, because she was a very weak prime minister, very weak leader, she was called something of Gudiya of something. She,
Gogi
to
Gudiya.
remain in, Gigi. So to remain in power, she bartered it with communists. She gave culture and education to communists. And communists have a great strategy, a political strategy, that if you don't to destroy, see, people think Islamism and Christianity are fast spreading religions of the world. Let me tell you, communism is the fastest spreading religion of the world. And these are the ruthless people, because you can fight people who have swords and guns and tanks, but it's very difficult to fight sly people who are vicious. Now, communist people, the first thing they did was they created doubt. They shifted Indian education from indigenous education system to this modern convent education. The poor middle class of India was so mesmerized because they thought by getting their children educated in English language, they will be able to travel the world or maybe earn more money. This was a colonial mindset. And that is the reason they created doubt about everything which is great about India, about our food, about our clothes, about our rituals. Second thing what they did was, so 4Ds, I call it doubt. Second is defame. They started defaming. You go to JNU, I travel to these universities, there our goddesses are defamed. Our great people are defamed. You'll be surprised. I was called to speak on journalism. I started talking about Narad Muni, and people, lots of students who were sitting there, communist students, and they told me, please don't spread this mythology in our university. Tell us about the living people. This is the state of education. And the third thing is destroy. Destroying. How destroying process? Suppose Sonal ji is a great dancer who is promoting great Hindu culture, then what is called cancel culture in America, in India, it's not used as term cancel culture, but here is destroy the credibility. And that's how they have all great people. And this is the reason I want all my friends who are listening to make you aware and to alert you that in last 10, 15 years, you will see we haven't produced even 5 great Hindi poets or Hindu poets. We haven't produced 5 great dancers, 5 great singers, classical singers. Whatever names you hear are like the older lot. We don't have great 5 filmmakers. I am the only one fighting here. Now I just finished this film, The Kashmir Files. I know the kind of struggle I have to make because everyone wants to destroy that great phenomenal product because it's going to tell the story of great culture of Kashmir. And while doing this film, I discovered that Kashmir actually is like that chip in a computer or that CPU of a computer. You take out Kashmir from India, you have taken out that software or the CPU from Indian computer. All the greatest things happened there. These Pandits are not Brahmin Pandits. These are the greatest minds and scholars who specialize in subjects. I assume that's why they were called Pandits. I hope I am proved right. But now they are against this film because they know this film will bring the greatness of India and its culture. And therefore, I have decided to come to US. The whole of December, I am doing, for the first time in the history of cinema, a mainstream film is going to be doing rounds in various cities, pre-release previews. Nobody has done it. I want to take it in the heart of US, and I want your children to know why they should be proud of being coming from the greatest civilization and the culture in the world. But what's wrong with us today? The wrong with us is, I'll just close this discussion with just very quickly, I'll tell you, there is a concept in Hindu culture, which is of darshak, drashya, darshak, and drishta. So you have drishti, you have drashya, you have darshak, and you have drishta. West has only understood drashya and darshak, a spectacle, and you have viewers, a market, and you have consumers. They never ever reach the level of drashta. But unfortunately, our modern education system, this urban Naxal attack on our culture, has taken this drishta part away, and which is why we have lost understanding the meaning of Shiva. Shiva is, for me, is a great philosopher. Where science fails, philosophy, Indian metaphysics begins. I hope Subhashji is going to join later on. I'm sure he will appreciate what I'm saying because
he has joined already. He's listening
great. So
to
he's
you.
a scientist. Yeah, he's a scientist. I have great regards for him. So this whole concept of Shiva's Trinetri, I think, is the answer. We should avoid falling prey to this spectacle which the West has created, this great Netflix, everything big and grand. We have started believing in Sthul and we forgot that the God, the divine lies in Sukshma. And that's where the modern particle science, atomic science, or quantum physics is looking at the concept which understood many, many years ago. Now, how this can be done, how this can be achieved, how can we revive this great Hindu culture? We cannot revive by fighting on Twitter. We cannot fight it, we cannot revive it by getting into superficial things, which is a very Western concept. Who's wearing what, who's saying what. We should stop bothering about these things. These are very, very superficial things. If the Shraddha is inside you, if the understanding is inside you, if you are moving in the direction of knowledge from ignorance, then all these things will come naturally to you. Stop telling your children that badon ke pav chhu, or respect your children. Ask them to believe and be proud of our great culture. And this can be done by elders. Go to Instagram, wherever our next generation is, which has started doubting our culture and they shy away from everything, is the children. Who are these? Sonal ji was talking about patake and firecrackers. Who are these brands are targeting? They are targeting our children. Because urban Naxals believe that the modern wars are not going to be fought with guns and pattern tanks and aircrafts. They are going to be fought with new kind of weapons. And these weapons are the minds of younger generation. So if you dominate and control the minds of new generation, then you have fought this war. And we have to fight at that level. And this can be done if you take a pledge and not just limit this to just speeches and webinars. I do it every single day. People who know me, they will know every morning till evening, I write about it everywhere. Take a pledge that every single night you won't sleep without flooding this new monster called algorithm of social media by writing something about the greatness of our culture. Yes, the impact and power of culture, great culture, is very slow. It doesn't give instant results. But like you have a Hindu university in USA, it's a slow process, but I'm sure you will be able to influence lots of minds. You will be able to produce lots of Vivekanands. And that is, I think, our duty. Because fighting at a very superficial level, street fighting, is very, very temporary. We must now focus on durable thing. And the durable thing would be to fill the universe with our greatness, not just by our deeds, but also by modern technology. So every night, all the students, if they are listening to this, I would request, write about the tree next to your hometown, write about the history of your hometown, and if nothing else, at least write about two things which I think is the greatest qualities in modern world. And this is my concluding remark. Number one, Indians live almost in every single country of the world. Of course, there are stereotypes. When people meet the French people, they think, aha, here come very stylish, fashionable people. When they meet British people, they think, oh, here come a lot of snooty people, arrogant people. When they meet Chinese people, they say great negotiators. What is it that they think when they meet Indians? The universal image of Indians outside India is we can trust them. At night, if an Indian is driving a car and there is somebody who's stuck in the road, he will not hesitate taking help from Indian without doubting even once anywhere in the world. And where is this? And today, trust is the rarest human trait, and is the most sought after human trait, trust. You guys live in America, you know, America's conflict today is about trust. The whole world is fighting for trust. And where does the greatest human quality come from? All cultures, all civilizations are based on trust. And where does it come from? It comes from our mothers. And this is one quality about Hindu culture which makes me so proud and overwhelmed. And one of the reasons why I have dedicated most of my life working towards fighting for Indian culture is when I look at our mothers. Sacrifice, one of the most difficult human trait. We see our mothers, nobody teaches us. We see her. She sacrifices good mattress, good food, good clothes. She sacrifices so much just to give values to our children so that wherever they go, people trust them. Service, the second S, service. We learn the quality of service from our mothers. Third thing is spirituality. Spirituality does not necessarily mean sitting somewhere and meditating, closing your eyes. Spirituality basically is a quality, the way we interact with the world and add value to this world. That is the purpose of spirituality. Spirituality is not as selfish as the modern spirituality industry is trying to make it. And if you read Vedanta, you will understand the whole focus is on adding value, quality. She makes us believe you are the quality, and therefore spread your quality in the world. So these 3S, which I learned from not just my mother, every Indian mother I see, that is service, sacrifice, and spirituality. And I think this world needs these 3 things to build trust. On this note, I would like to end my comments.
Great, Vivek ji, thank you so much. Fantastic. We're not gonna have time for Q&A at the moment. Okay, and Vivek ji, we're all looking forward to your movie, obviously, your Kashmir Files movie, and let's see how we can make sure it's a great success in America.